Hey Arden, welcome to another Tuesday Talk. It's spring break week, so hopefully you're getting some sun, enjoying maybe a vacation, or just doing some things around the house, or maybe it's just like a normal week for you. But we're going to look at this parable in Luke 19, the parable of the 10 minas, and really about this king who returns. And so I'm not going to read the parable. Hopefully you've already done that. So if you haven't, go ahead and read the parable. And we're not going to preach through it. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of thoughts about the parable and different things. We're just going to pull out kind of a main thought. And so just the parable, there's this noble guy, and he leaves. And as he leaves all of his servants a certain amount of money to do business while he's gone. And he comes back and he has brought this kingdom, like he's conquered land. He's now the king. He's brought this kingdom, and he calls to his servants and he wants to know what they did with the money that he left them with. So, but as you notice, there's really kind of two audiences in this parable. There are citizens and there are servants. So the first group you see are these citizens, and I'll just read a couple of lines. It says this in verse 14. But his citizens hated him and sent a delegation after him, saying, "We do not want this man to rule over us." So the citizens in the land, they don't want the king. They don't want the king to return. Now, in context, Jesus is coming into Jerusalem. There are people who think the kingdom's going to be immediate, and Jesus is saying that's not going to happen. The kingdom's not going to explode immediately. It's actually going to be a first coming and then a second coming. But he notices there's citizens who don't want the king in the first place. And I think this would, of course, be the Jews, the scribes, the Pharisees, those who are going to reject Jesus. They don't want Jesus to rule over them. And so the first group we see are these citizens who don't want the king to rule over them. And so I just want to ask, could that be you today? That you're actually an enemy of God. So the citizens are gonna actually turn into enemies, and they're gonna get slaughtered at the end of the story. Well, how do you know if you're an enemy of God? How do you know if you're just a citizen who really doesn't want a king? Well, it's pretty easy. You don't want Jesus to rule over you. You don't want his authority over you. You don't want his word over you. You're not living your life under Jesus. You're living your life above Jesus, doing your own thing, living your own life. That would be a citizen who's an enemy. You don't want Christ to rule over you. But then the rest of us who do want Jesus to rule over us, that's the servants. And these servants, there's 10 of them, and they each get 10 minas. Now that's an amount of money, and it was about 3 months' salary. So pretty substantial amount of money. So you could say, let's just say it's 10 grand, right? So pretty good amount of money, right? And the nobleman goes away, leaving this money, and he tells the servants, I want you to do business. I want you to take this money, use it, do things with it, and when I return, I want to see all that you've grown this money to be. So what we see is in verse 16, the first came before him, Lord, your mina has made 10 minas more. So this guy takes his 10 minas, let's say it's like 100 grand, right? And he makes it into like $1 million, right? He's using it, he's selling, he's doing, and then now it's tenfold. He's made all this money. He bought, he sold, he invested, he's hustled, he's worked hard with this money, and now he's got all this extra money, right? He's doubled the amount. And the nobleman, who's now king, says, well done, good servant. Because you have been faithful in very little, you shall have authority over 10 cities. So, man, this was money. Now he's getting cities to rule in this kingdom. And so he invested wisely, he worked wisely, he made a good profit from this money. So, well done is what the nobleman says. And then there's this other guy. The second, in verse 18, came saying, Lord, your mina has made 5 minas, and he said, and you are over 5 cities. So the guy has 10. He doesn't double his profit, but he does use the 10 to make 5 more. So now he's got 15 minas, and he said, hey, that's great. You made me money. Therefore, I'm going to put you over 5 cities. I've entrusted you. I see how you're good work. I see how you know what to do. You've used your resources well. So now I'm going to give you a reward to rule over these things. And then there's a third guy. Okay? And so here's what the third guy does. We're not sure he's the third servant. It's just another came up. This is verse 20. Saying, Lord, here is your mina, which I kept laid away in a handkerchief. For I was afraid of you, because you are a severe man. You take what you did not deposit and reap what you did not sow. And so he says, here's your money back. Here's all 10 of them. I kept them safe. I kept them secure. And here they are back. And you could imagine this man feels like he's doing a good thing because he's given the nobleman, who's now king, back exactly what the king had given him. But we're going to see there's a response. And the reason he hid it in a handkerchief, he's afraid of this nobleman. He's afraid to take risk. He's afraid to maybe lose some of the money, because what if he loses 5 and only has 5? Wouldn't he get in big trouble because this guy is a severe man? But here's what the nobleman says. I will condemn you with your own words, you wicked servant. You knew that I was a severe man, taking what I did not deposit and reaping what I did not sow. Why then did you not put my money in the bank, and that my coming I might have collected it with interest? He said, if you're really that afraid of me, why didn't you take my money and put it in a bank, where at least it's getting a little bit of interest? At least there's something happening. But you were so afraid that you hid everything I gave you because you weren't willing to take a risk. And notice what he says. He says that you're a wicked servant. You're a servant who's not doing what you should. Now, what in the world is the point of this? I think there's a lot of, like that we can draw of this parable. But I think one giant point that we can get from this is this idea of stewardship. That the nobleman left these servants with money, expecting they would use it, take risk, build businesses, make profit. They would do things with it that would grow that money. And 2 of the guys did, 1 of the guys didn't. And the reason the guy didn't is he was afraid. He was afraid to take a risk. He was afraid to do anything because he was afraid when the master got back, if he lost a little bit, he'd be in big trouble. And I just want us to think about that in our relationship with the Lord, right? Hopefully none of us are citizens in this story. Those who reject the lordship of Christ, those who don't want Christ to rule over them. Hopefully we're all servants. We've all come to Jesus as his followers, but here's, as his servants, Jesus gives us things. He gives us time, he gives us talent, he gives us treasure, he gives us opportunity, he gives us a lot of things. He's entrusted you with certain things. He's entrusted you maybe with a family. He's entrusted you with a job. He's entrusted you with some stuff. He's entrusted you with a bank account. He's entrusted you with talents. He's entrusted you with giftedness. And he is going to return. And what he wants for his servants to do is to use all that he's given us for the sake of the kingdom. To do things, to take risks, to invest, to go, to be used so that when he comes back, his investment has made something. His investment has grown in our lives and through our lives. Because the truth is, it's all the master's money. None of these servants had anything. The master gave them things. And the expectation is, if I've given you something, I expect you to use it and grow it for the sake of my good kingdom. So I just want to ask for you, what has God given you? I think the whole story is, hey, Christ is coming back and he's given us responsibilities. He's given us opportunities. He's given us talents. He's given us giftedness. He's given us opportunities. How are we using those things? See, if we're afraid of God, if we're afraid to take a risk, we're afraid he's like this mean king who's just going to come and get onto us, then we're probably just going to live a very safe Christian life, never talking to that coworker, never volunteering for that thing, never signing up to do that, never giving, never engaging, never, taking a risk when it comes to the gospel because we're so afraid that we're going to get it wrong. And Jesus says, hey, that's actually wrong. It's wrong to be afraid to get it wrong. What I want is people who are willing to take risk, to use all that I've given them, to do something with it, to make something great with what I've given you. So I think we see citizens who don't want Jesus to rule over them, and we see servants who are following Jesus, but those servants, they're not all using their giftedness in the same way. And I think for us to think about, am I using what God has given me because I believe He's coming back and I want to build His kingdom? See, servants who know the King's coming back and we have a kingdom to build, they're going to use His resources, use His giftedness for His glory. So it's all about stewardship. So I want you to think, in the way you live your life, when Christ comes back, what's He going to say about your life? Is He going to say, man, well done, my good and faithful servant. Look at what you have done with all that I've given you. Is He going to say, hey, great job. You made it 10. You made it 5. Or is He going to say, what were you doing? Why did you never do anything for the sake of me? Because you were afraid of me. That's a wrong attitude to have towards God. He wants us to use the things He's given us to grow His kingdom because we trust Him and we love Him. And it's He who is going to see to it that all of this is done for the glory of God. And so I just want to encourage you, as a servant who's following the Lord, the King is coming back, and the King has gifted you with things. He's given you things, and there's still time to invest and do and move and grow and push His kingdom forward. I don't want to be a servant that when Christ comes back, He says, why did you do nothing? I want to be the one who's doing things for the glory of God, because I want to invest into this world all that God has given me so that this world can become a little bit more like the kingdom of God. So hopefully you're going to look at this parable. I know there's a lot else that we can dig out of this parable, but just that main thought. We don't want to be a citizen who hates Jesus. We want to be a servant who loves Jesus. But as servants, we need to get to work for the sake of the kingdom because He's given us things to build with. Let's use those things and let's build the kingdom of God.